It happened at 2:13 a.m., that hour of the night when the world is too quiet, when even your thoughts don't feel like your own, when grief turns into a place you can accidentally walk back into. I was half asleep, tangled in blankets, dreaming of nothing at all, when my phone buzzed on the nightstand. At first I ignored it, assuming it was spam or one of those emergency weather alerts that always seem to come at the wrong time. But then it buzzed again, and again, until something inside me snapped awake, uneasy. I reached for it, my fingers clumsy, eyes blurry, and when I saw the caller ID, my heart stopped, mid-beat. It wasn't a number. It wasn't a name. It was a contact I hadn't seen in 12 years. Mom. My throat went dry, my brain scrambling for a rational explanation. Glitch, spoofed number, someone messing with me, but a heavy, shaking part of me knew better. The number hadn't existed since the accident, since the fire, since the night everything I loved disappeared in flames and smoke and screaming. I froze, staring at the screen as it buzzed against my palm. I should have dropped it. I should have thrown it across the room, but instead, I slid my thumb across the screen and pressed it to my ear. Hello? My voice cracked, barely a whisper. For a moment, there was nothing but static. Soft. Distant. Like wind dragging across the edge of the world. Then I heard it. A voice. Her voice. Lily. Sweetheart. Can you hear me? The world tilted. The air left my lungs. I sat straight up, the blanket falling to the floor, every part of me shaking. I hadn't heard that voice since I was 15, since they pulled me from the house and told me she hadn't made it out. I pressed my hand to my mouth, trying not to cry. Mom? I whispered. Mom, is that you? Static crackled. Heavy. Desperate. Like something trying to break through a wall. Listen to me, she said, her voice trembling, the way it used to when she was scared and pretending not to be. You're not safe there. You need to leave. You need to... The line cut out. Silence swallowed the room. I stared at the phone, my pulse hammering. Call ended. I tried calling back, my fingers trembling so violently I almost dropped the phone, but the call didn't go through. The number didn't exist. My contact list didn't show Mom anymore. It hadn't for over a decade, and yet the call log showed it. One missed call, one incoming. Same number she had before she died. I didn't sleep the rest of the night. I sat on the edge of my bed staring at the phone, replaying every second in my head, trying to convince myself I wasn't losing my mind. I kept hearing her voice, soft and fractured, telling me to leave, to run. But from what? My apartment was silent, still, ordinary. The refrigerator hummed in the kitchen. The streetlights outside cast familiar yellow shapes across the floor. Nothing felt dangerous, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something in the room had shifted. Like someone else was there, just beyond my vision, watching. At sunrise, I made coffee I didn't drink. I checked every door, every window, every lock. Everything was normal, except my hands wouldn't stop shaking. I told myself I needed fresh air, that I needed to get out of my head. But when I opened the front door, an envelope slid inward from the hallway floor, as if someone had just dropped it off. No name, no stamp. Just a small, old-fashioned envelope sealed with wax. My heart slammed against my ribs. I picked it up slowly, the paper stiff and slightly dusty, like it had been kept somewhere dark for a long time. Inside was a single piece of paper, folded in half. I opened it with numb fingers. One sentence, written in my mother's handwriting. If you got my call, it means they found you. My knees nearly buckled. Who? Who found me? Who was she warning me about? Why now, after 12 years of silence? And how was any of this possible when she was dead? My phone buzzed again. A text. From an unknown number. Lily. Don't trust him. No name. No context. No explanation. Just those 4 words that made the hair rise on the back of my neck. I looked around my apartment, suddenly hyper-aware of the shadows, the quiet, the faint ticking of the clock on the wall. Someone knew me. Someone was watching, and someone, or something, was trying to protect me, or warn me, or both. I backed away from the door, gripping the letter until the paper crumpled in my shaking hand. Something deep in my gut whispered that my mother's voice wasn't a hallucination. It wasn't a glitch. It wasn't a dream. It was a warning. And whatever she died running from had finally caught up to me. I didn't go to work the next morning. I couldn't pretend anything was normal. My hands were still trembling from the note. My mother's handwriting burned into my mind like a brand. If you got my call, it means they found you. I kept reading it over and over until the words stopped feeling like sentences and started feeling like a countdown. By noon, I'd convinced myself I was overreacting, that the call was some twisted prank, that the note had to be forged. But then I remembered the handwriting. Perfect. Identical. Down to the slight curve of the Y in my name, the way she always looped it twice, the way she used to sign my birthday cards. No one could copy that. No one should even know that. I needed answers. Real ones. So I drove to my father's house on the outskirts of town, a place that always smelled like old wood and leftover grief. He wasn't expecting me. He never expected anyone anymore. But when he opened the door and saw me, something strange flickered in his eyes. Not surprise, not concern, something closer to dread. "Lily?" he said slowly. "What are you doing here?" I stepped inside without asking. "Dad, I need to ask you something, and I need you to tell me the truth." He stiffened. "About what?" I swallowed hard. "About Mom." His face drained of color. For a second, I thought he was going to collapse right there. "Not this again," he whispered. "Lily, she's gone. We've talked about this." "No," I snapped, louder than I meant to. "Someone called me last night, from her number." He froze. The air in the room shifted. He didn't ask if I was sure. He didn't ask if I was okay. He didn't ask anything a normal parent would ask. His eyes darted to the hallway, toward the study he kept locked, and he whispered, "You didn't answer it, did you?" My heart slammed against my ribs. "I did." He shut his eyes, exhaling a breath that sounded like defeat. "Jesus, Lily." He sank into a chair and rubbed his hands over his face. I was afraid this would happen. My pulse roared in my ears. Afraid what would happen? He didn't answer. Instead, he stood and walked down the hall. I followed him to the study, the room he'd kept locked since Mom died, the room I'd never been allowed in, and he unlocked the door without looking at me. The smell hit first. Old paper, dust, something else, something metallic. The room was filled with boxes, files, burned photographs, pinned boards, and newspaper clippings about a fire. Our fire. The one that killed my mother. Except half the articles I'd never seen before, and more importantly,
Half of them had been crossed out in red pen. "Dad," I whispered, "what is all this?" He didn't look at me. "Your mother wasn't just a victim of an accident," he said softly. She was involved in something dangerous." My throat tightened. "Dangerous how?" His eyes finally met mine, full of fear. "She was trying to protect you." A cold wave ran down my spine. "Protect me from who?" He hesitated. "A group she used to work for, before you were born." "Work for?" I repeated. "Dad, she was a kindergarten teacher. What are you talking about?" "That's who she became, not who she was." My mind reeled. "Then who was she?" He opened a drawer and pulled out a small, black notebook. The leather was worn, the edges scorched. My mother's initials were branded into the cover. "She left this behind," he whispered. "I shouldn't have kept it, but I couldn't throw it away." My hands shook as I took it. The pages were filled with codes, fragments of warnings, addresses, symbols I didn't recognize, and my name, circled over and over. Page after page, ink dark and frantic, all repeating one phrase: "They know about Lily." My vision blurred. "Dad, what is this?" He pressed a trembling hand to his forehead. "Her last month alive, she kept telling me someone was following her, that we needed to move, that you weren't safe. I thought it was stress, paranoia. I didn't believe her." His voice cracked. "The night of the fire, she wasn't supposed to be home. She was supposed to meet someone. She said it was the last piece of the truth she needed, but she came back instead. She said she'd found out something about you." My blood went cold. "About me?" He didn't tell me what. He just said he knew why they wanted you, why they were watching. My heart hammered so loudly I thought it might break my ribs. "Dad, who are they?" Before he could answer, the window behind him shattered, glass exploding inward. We both jumped, ducking as shards rained across the floor. My father grabbed me, pulling me behind the desk. "Get down," he shouted. Outside, footsteps crunched in the gravel. Slow, deliberate, coming closer. He reached into the drawer and pulled out something I'd never imagined seeing in his hands. A gun. My father, the quiet accountant who cried at commercials, holding a gun like he'd done it before. "Dad," I choked out. "What's happening?" His voice was barely a whisper. "They found you." And suddenly, the phone call, the note, the text, all made sense. This wasn't paranoia. This wasn't a prank. This was real. And whatever my mother died trying to escape was now standing outside my father's house. We didn't have time to think. The gravel outside crunched again, closer, deliberate, like someone was testing each step, savoring the fear building inside the house. My father pulled me toward the back door, but before we reached it, a shadow passed across the window, tall and silent. "Stay behind me," he whispered, and for the first time in my life, I heard real terror in his voice. Not panic, but recognition. Whoever was outside wasn't a stranger to him. The back door groaned when he opened it, loud enough to make my heart seize, and we slipped into the freezing air behind the house, cutting through the garden Mom once planted. We didn't get far. A figure stepped out from behind the shed. No face visible under a hood, no words, no warning. My father shoved me behind him, raising the gun, but the figure didn't flinch. They took one slow step forward, and I saw something glint in their hand. Metallic, narrow, needle-like. Not a weapon meant to kill, a weapon meant to take. "Run," my father hissed. I hesitated. "But run," he roared, firing a shot that split the night open. I sprinted into the trees, branches slashing my arms, the world blurring with each desperate breath. Behind me, I heard a struggle, shouts, grunts, another gunshot. Then nothing. No footsteps, no voice, no father. I didn't stop running until the forest spat me out near the old service road half a mile away. My chest burned, my legs trembling so violently I thought they'd give way, but somehow I kept moving, gripping my mother's notebook so tightly the edges cut into my palm. It felt like the only piece of her I had left, the only thing keeping me from dissolving into panic. I slipped into an abandoned gas station at the edge of town, hiding behind shelves while I tried to steady my breathing. The notebook was still in my hand, the leather warm from my grip. I opened it under the dim emergency light, flipping through the frantic scribbles until I found a page my father hadn't shown me. A date circled in thick black ink, the night of the fire, and beneath it, one sentence. If they take me, Lily must go to 27 Mariners Point. Don't trust him. My pulse spiked. Who was him? My father? The man outside? Someone else? And what was Mariners Point? The name tugged at something in my memory, a faint echo of a place I'd heard once as a child, but it felt distant, like a dream I couldn't fully remember. Before I could think, my phone buzzed. A text. Unknown number. You shouldn't have run. My blood turned to ice. A second text followed instantly. We just want to talk. I shut the phone off, my fingers trembling. Talk? People who want to talk don't throw needles through windows or stalk your father's house in the dark. I shoved the notebook into my jacket and slipped out the back exit, keeping low, watching every shadow. Mariners Point wasn't in my town, but maybe it was nearby. I jogged to the main road, my breath forming ghostly clouds, and waved frantically when a pickup truck approached. The driver, an older woman with sharp eyes and a cigarette hanging from her lip, slowed down. You look like hell, she said bluntly. Need a lift? I nodded, climbing in before I had time to second-guess it. Where are you headed? I hesitated, then whispered, Do you know Mariners Point? She gave me a long look. Mariners Point? That place closed years ago. Why are you going there? It's important. She didn't ask more, just nodded like she'd seen worse. It's about 25 miles out. Hold on. The ride was silent except for the hum of the engine and the beating in my ears. Trees blurred by outside as I clutched the notebook, flipping again through the pages. There were drawings, maps, arrows, coded numbers. None of it made sense. But near the back, tucked between two torn pages, I found a folded sheet of paper, a hospital form, my mother's name, my father's, and then mine. Except not mine, not the name I'd grown up with. A different one entirely, my birth name, my real name, Leela Hart. My hand flew to my mouth. I wasn't just hiding. I'd been hidden, protected, or lied to. Maybe both. The truck pulled onto an old coastal road, the sea wind hitting the windows hard enough to rattle them. Almost there, the woman muttered, pointing at a half-collapsed sign barely legible under rust and moss. Mariners Point, private facility. My stomach twisted. Facility. Not town, not beach, not homes. A facility. For what? We turned down a narrow road flanked by overgrown fences topped with barbed wire. The buildings ahead were concrete, windowless, abandoned, like something that had been erased from the map long before it was physically removed. The woman parked. This is as far as I go, she said. Be careful, kid. I stepped out, the wind slapping my face with salt and cold. The facility loomed in front of me, silent, lifeless, but somehow humming with something underneath, like the memory of something terrible. I walked toward the entrance, my boots crunching on gravel. My mother's notebook was heavy in my hand, the page with my birth name burning into my palm. Before I reached the door, my phone buzzed again, though I had turned it off. The screen flickered to life. One message. No number. Welcome home, Leela. My breath caught. Someone here wasn't surprised to see me. Someone here had been waiting. The moment I stepped past the rusted fence, the air changed. Not colder, not heavier, but watchful, as if the abandoned buildings had been holding their breath for years and were finally exhaling now that I'd returned. Gravel crunched under my feet in the silence, the wind cutting through the broken windows like a whispering voice urging me forward. Welcome home, Leela. The message on my phone burned into my mind with every step. No one alive should have known that name. I barely knew it myself. The front doors of the facility hung crooked, one shattered, one rusted shut. I slipped through the broken side, my flashlight slicing through the darkness. Inside, the air smelled of mold and dust and something faintly chemical, like a memory of disinfectant that never fully washed away. The tiles were cracked, walls peeling, but faint outlines of signage remained. C block? Archives? Observation wing? My heart pounded harder. Observation? Why did a private facility have observation wings? I moved slowly, my breath echoing too loudly in the empty hallways. Every sound felt amplified, my footsteps, my heartbeat, the beam of my flashlight hitting metal doors with small barred windows. Some of them were scratched from the inside. At the far end of the hall, a flicker of light, soft, artificial, impossible, glowed beneath a door. Someone else was here. Someone who wasn't afraid of being seen. I pressed my hand to the door and pushed it open gently. It creaked like it hadn't moved in years. The room inside was small, circular, filled with old monitors stacked on shelves, wires coiled like vines across the floor, and in the center, a large table piled with folders, photographs, and documents so old they looked brittle. But the thing that stopped my breath was the wall. A collage of photos pinned in neat rows, pictures of children, pictures of families, pictures of me. Not one, not two, at least 20. Different ages, different angles. A few from when I was a baby, ones I'd never seen before. A hospital crib, a woman holding me who wasn't my mother. Then older ones, schoolyard candid shots. Me at age 7 on a playground. Me at age 12 riding my bike home. Me in the grocery store with Dad. Pictures taken from a distance, unposed, unaware. Someone had been watching me my entire life. The edges of my vision blurred, my knees threatening to give out. I reached for the closest photo, my fingers trembling. On the back, a date and a code, S4LH02. LH, Leela Hart. My hands shook so violently I dropped it. I grabbed another, same code, another, same. My stomach turned. This place hadn't just known my name, it had cataloged it, studied it, followed it, for years. Footsteps echoed in the hall, slow, steady, approaching. I ducked behind the shelves, holding my breath as the footsteps stopped outside the door. A quiet click, the sound of someone unlocking it, though I was certain it had no lock. The door swung open, and a man stepped inside. Mid-40s, dark coat, calm expression, as if he'd been expecting this moment. Expecting me. "Hello, Leela," he said softly, and the certainty in his voice made my blood run cold. I didn't move, didn't breathe. "You can come out," he continued. "There's no need to hide. Not from me." Slowly, heart pounding, I rose to my feet. He smiled faintly. "You look just like her." "Like who?" I demanded. "Your mother," he answered. "Clara Hart." The name hit me like a physical blow. "That wasn't her name," I shot back. "My mother was—" "The woman who raised you wasn't your biological mother," he said calmly, cutting through my words like a blade through cloth. "Your real mother worked here. She was one of us." My world cracked open. One of what? He stepped closer, hands raised like he was trying to calm an animal. Clara was part of a classified research program, a project designed to protect children born with unique genetic markers. My pulse roared. "What does that mean?" He exhaled, almost sympathetically. "It means people wanted you long before you were born. And when your mother realized the project wasn't what she believed, she ran. She stole you. She changed your name. She hid you with another family." My throat tightened. "My father?" "Not your biological father," he said, "but he protected you. He hid you well. Clara should have never contacted him again. That's what got her killed." I stumbled back as if struck. "You killed her?" He didn't flinch. "We didn't have to. She came back here the night of the fire. She tried to destroy the files. She tried to erase every trace of you." His eyes softened. "But by then, others were already searching." The room spun. "I called me," I said, my voice trembling, "last night. She told me to run." He sighed, almost pitying. Leela, your mother is dead. I know her voice. I heard her. Grief does strange things, he murmured, especially to people like you. People like me? His expression sharpened. You were never supposed to disappear. You're not a normal missing person, Leela. You're the last active subject of the Hart Sequence. He stepped closer. And now that we've found you, we can continue. I stumbled back toward the door, but he blocked the exit easily. Don't run, he said softly. Your mother did, and look how that ended. My breath shook, fear clawing up my throat, but something else rose with it. Anger. My mother died to keep me out of this place, and I wasn't going to let them finish what they started. I grabbed the nearest object, a metal monitor stand, and swung it with all the strength panic gave me. It struck him across the shoulder. He staggered, surprised. I bolted past him, sprinting down the hallway, my lungs burning. Behind me, his voice echoed, "You can run, Leela, but you can't hide. Not from who you are." His footsteps followed, faster, closing in, and as I burst through the exit doors into the icy wind, I understood something terrifying. I wasn't running from them anymore. I was running towards the truth my mother died for. I didn't stop running until the wind stabbed my lungs and the salt from the ocean stung my eyes, but even then I knew I wasn't far enough. The facility loomed behind me like a forgotten nightmare waking back up, its broken windows watching me like eyes. My phone buzzed again, though I didn't remember turning it back on, and the screen flashed with one message. Basement. Now. I almost dropped it. The sender field was empty. No number, no ID, just like the call, just like the warning, just like her. "Mom," I whispered, breath fogging in the cold. Part of me knew how insane it sounded, but another part, the part that remembered the exact sound of her voice trembling on the phone, knew it wasn't. She was leading me, protecting me, pushing me toward the one place I was terrified to go. I clenched her burnt notebook tight, took one shaky breath, and sprinted back toward the facility. I slipped through a side door and followed the flickering emergency lights deeper underground, down a stairwell that smelled like rust and old water. My legs trembled with every step, my heart a frantic drumbeat against my ribs, but something stronger than fear pulled me onward. At the bottom, a long hallway stretched into darkness. My flashlight beam caught metal doors on both sides, each labeled with peeling numbers. Most were empty, silent, but the last door on the left glowed with a faint blue light beneath the frame. I pushed it open. The basement room was small, circular, almost like a vault. A single fluorescent tube flickered overhead, casting a cold, sterile glow. And in the center, on a metal table, was a device, square, dust-coated, its screen cracked but still faintly glowing. A tape recorder sat beside it, ancient, scarred by heat. A cassette was inside, marked with black ink, Hart 0, my mother's initials. My heart stopped as I pressed play. The tape hissed, scratched, then a voice filled the room, broken, breathless, terrified. "If you're hearing this, they're close." My knees buckled. I grabbed the table to stay upright. "This is Clara Hart, and I need to tell the truth. For my daughter." My throat closed. Lila was never supposed to be part of the Hart Sequence. They wanted her because she was different, because she wasn't like the others, because she survived. Papers on the table, old files, diagrams, medical scans fluttered under the draft from the vents. Children's names were listed, tests, notes, ages, and then a single line circled in red. Only subject 0 survived full sequence. My stomach twisted violently as Mom continued. I didn't know what they were doing until it was too late. They told us we were creating immunity, genetic protection from diseases nobody understood yet. But that was a lie. They weren't protecting children, they were making them. Static crackled. Mom inhaled sharply, shaky. When I found out, I tried to save them. All of them. But I could only save her. The others, she broke. The others didn't make it. I gripped the table so hard my knuckles went white. Subject 0, the only survivor, me. Your father wasn't supposed to raise you, but he loved you, and I loved you more than my life. So we ran. We hid. I changed your name. I burned every trace of you I could find. But they kept looking. They never stopped. Footsteps echoed from the hallway. My blood froze. Someone was coming. The man from upstairs. The one who said he'd been waiting for me. But I couldn't stop the tape. Not now. Mom's voice grew frantic. Lila, if they find you, they will take you back. They will finish what they started. You're the key to everything they lost. You're the last proof of what they did. Closer footsteps. Fast. Heavy. I slammed the door shut, locked it, pressed back against it, even though I knew it wouldn't hold. The tape warbled as Mom whispered, "If you want to live, you must burn this place. Burn everything. Don't let them keep you. Don't let them use you." A loud bang shook the door. Then another. They were trying to break it down. Mom's final words came through the speaker. Quiet, shaking, heartbreakingly soft. "I love you, my daughter. Run." The door cracked, metal whining under force. I scanned the room desperately. A fire alarm switch, a rusted emergency locker, old chemicals stacked on shelves. I grabbed everything I could, yanked the locker open, and pulled a flare gun from inside. The door buckled inward as the man's silhouette filled the frame. "Lila, you don't understand what you are." Another hit. The lock snapped. I raised the flare gun, hands shaking, and fired at the shelves behind him. The chemicals erupted instantly, white fire blooming like a living creature, racing up the walls, devouring paper, plastic, memories. He lunged, but flames swallowed the entrance, cutting him off. Smoke choked the air as I crawled through the vent grate on the floor, dragging my mother's notebook with me. I could hear alarms blaring, metal collapsing, glass shattering, and somewhere in the roar of fire, I heard it, her voice, faint but real. "Go, Lila, I've got you." I burst out onto the shore behind the facility just as the building erupted into flames, lighting the night sky like a second sun. Wind whipped my hair as I watched the place that created me and tried to claim me, burn until it was nothing but collapsing beams and smoke. Dawn crept over the horizon, painting the ocean gold. I held the notebook against my chest, tears blurring the world. Mom had died to protect me. Dad had lied to hide me, and I had finally seen the truth they both carried. As the last of the building crumbled into ash, my phone buzzed one last time. A voicemail. From her number. My breath hitched as I pressed play. Her voice, clear, warm, alive, whispered, "You're free now, sweetheart." The message ended, but for the first time in 12 years, the silence felt safe.